do you remember on a lot of health claims that they appear on like different packages and in studies and that sort of thing? And I want you to be careful about what you're being told sometimes, because sometimes people spin the results a little bit to try to either impress you or try to convince you of something, or just they have some ulterior motive in mind. I'll give you an example. So some of the studies, let's say meat versus plant-based diets, they're saying that there's a 25% more chance of cancer with meat ingestion. And if you look at that a little bit more deeply, it's interesting because some of the studies that they reported on, it was like it went from a 3% chance to a 4% chance. So technically, 4% is 25% more than 3%, but all in all, it's still not a big difference. Like, to tell yourself that you get a 3% or a 4% chance of something happening, you probably treat both of them the same. That being said, we got to be careful in all aspects, whether it's something's good or something is bad with these health claims. You need to look at sometimes the raw data. And I'm not asking you to go look at the studies and to understand them, what they all mean and all that. But I think it's important to look at it in terms of context, right? So when they tell you something is good or bad, we have to look at it in terms of what they studied, who they studied, for how long, and what type of study it was, right? So without getting too much into it, if you're ever looking for something that will give you a little bit more of an insight on it, and you don't have to go through it all yourself. Of course, I've said a million times, examine.com is a great guide for that. There's a few other ones that are a little bit more professional in terms of if you're on the actual coaching side of things, if you want to understand it a little bit more deeply. There are other people that are available as well. But the whole point is that you got to be careful of the claims, good or bad. Sometimes they spin numbers and statistically they make sense and they're fair to say, but in the grand context, they don't make sense for what they're recommending to putting it into practice, right? So when you see something that says on a package, oh, this is gluten-free, or this is BPA free, whatever it might be, this is high protein. We need to look at them in terms of context. Even in protein sense, I think it's something like 13 grams, or as long as it's above 13 grams, it can say high protein, which in the grand scheme is not a whole bunch when you look at it, right? But again, I don't want to get lost in the weeds on this one. My point is that whenever there's claims on packages, either good or bad, in studies, in the media, I want you to be a little bit more skeptical. I want you to look at it and see what's potentially creating this narrative that's coming out of that study or that claim on the package. So as if you guys recall, remember there's that halo effect that if you have a Diet Coke, for example, that you're more likely to have an extra set of fries. So that the fact that you're having something that's good for you, it's less calories, you almost convince yourself to have something else. And they, I think, play to that with the way that they label things and packages and that sort of thing. If they tell you that it's high in fiber or high in protein, they know that you've been hearing a lot about that kind of stuff, that you should have more of these things, so you're more likely to pick that package. Even though, A, that recipe maybe never changed, B, it really is not really that high if you really look at it, or it just, you know, what's the point of having high fiber Oreos, really? I mean, anyways, I don't want to continue to go into these weeds, as I've said. The whole point is that you need to be skeptical of the claims that come your way, good or bad. Sometimes there's an ulterior motive to why it's being shown that way.